Welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 14-game slate here on DraftKings, and I was kind of caught off guard by some of the pricing when I was looking over the slate. I mean, there are a lot of guys in good spots for cheaper prices.
Ooh, I almost did a cardinal sin of spoiling a series, and I was gonna, but I'm not gonna. Like, that would have been ruthless. If any of you watch House of Cards, I was about to just ruin your souls, but I'm not. I didn't do it.
Well, the thing is, I mean,
So-
you're behind. All the normal people are caught up on it. You're the weird one who's behind.
Oh yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
don't do it for the sake of maybe the one or two people that are just like you.
Yeah. How do we deal with spoiler situations like that? Like when it's 5 years, how long until like you can spoil
Yeah, what's the period of time where you expect someone to watch it?
5 years? Like, I feel like any movie before 2000 is automatically like you can just say it, but I don't know.
TV shows, it's a little different now because we're in such a TV show era.
Yeah,
It is a little different. In a movie, it's like an hour and a half. Like, I don't want to spoil like an entire season. Like,
I
it's
know.
a long period of time.
It's like an investment, and then you're just like, well, never mind.
Yeah, you know what's going to
So-
happen.
But anyway, back to baseball here. Yeah, 14 gamer. I mean, I'm a little surprised by some of the pricing as well, but there are quite a few combinations, especially when you take pitching into account that we can make lineups work.
Yeah, certainly. And jumping into the first game here, Indians and Nationals, Max Scherzer versus Trevor Bauer. And the same thing goes here. The Indians are cheap. Obviously, a tougher matchup against Scherzer. I'm not really looking to use anyone here. Obviously, it would be a deep GPP play at most. I'm more focused in on the Nationals bats.
Yeah. Again, I like Kipnis a little bit as a leverage play on FanDuel at 29, but 38's too much for me. I'm not taking a gamble on Lindor. So I don't see the value here for the Indians. But yeah, in terms of the Nationals, I think you can go with quite a few different combinations here. They're not quite the values they were on FanDuel, though.
No, and this is one of the teams I was kind of surprised to see. Sorry, Wilson Ramos at 5K. I'm not paying 5K for a catcher. Murphy, Harper priced up quite a bit. I do like the first two guys there. Jason Worth is kind of turning things around against right-handed pitching. And I still love Trey Turner at 4K. I'm going to be consistently using him, until they price up even higher. So I'm okay with this. But it's something that I'm just kind of limiting myself on and more using them on FanDuel.
You do love Trey Turner, and not for very good reasons, but yeah, he's your boy.
He's a baller, man. He's just out there. It's like I plug him in, don't even have to worry about it. Like, he may not even get a hit that game, but he still comes through and produces some sort of production.
No joke. He's been pretty automatic to get over 10 DK points, and that's pretty rare to say, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Is it Laura? No.
It is.
Oh.
It is. Yeah.
Laura's on the phone.
Yeah, she's on the phones. So that means it's going to be a good
She
slate.
knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we'll sum this up. I mean, Nationals not quite worth the price tags for most of those guys.
No, definitely not.
Padres and Pirates next year. Chad Kuhl versus Luis Perdomo. This is a game I'm not particularly intrigued in, especially with the Padres pricing. I'm not looking at any Will Myers or anything like that. One guy who I don't mind is Josh Harrison. If you want to punt second base at 3,200, that's pretty much about it. I just like his spot leading off, and there is some reasonable upside out of him.
Yeah, for sure. I do like that. But yeah, again, priced up. Starlin Marte, 53. Polanco, 52. That's rough. I don't mind McCutcheon at 4. I know he struggled this year, and I know we say that like pretty much every night, but at 4K, what's even the gamble there, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you look at McCutcheon, he has struggled this year. You're going to catch him at low ownership because people are just sick of using him. I mean, I am.
I am. Yeah, I am too. But I mean, the odds that he can get like 7 to 10 points, he's hitting value pretty much at that stage. So I just think it's a pretty decent matchup for him. So in that case, 4K, I'm not afraid to sort of pay up for him.
Yeah, definitely. And pretty much anyone else, I'm not really looking to use. I'm not looking to use Padres at their prices. I'm really not looking to pay up for any of those Pirates guys at, over 5K. It's just something I'm staying away from.
Oh, you don't like Will Myers 5-3 price?
No, 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 I don't.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him pay that off before, but this is another tough task.
Yeah,
He's going to need at least a homer, plus maybe another hit to really pay that off.
yeah, certainly. And there's a lot of guys I like in that same range or cheaper.
Yep.
So, Blue Jays and Rays next. Marco Estrada versus Drew Smiley, and this is the one where Josh Donaldson dropped in price quite a bit at 4-4, facing a home run prone lefty in the Rogers Center. Donaldson's oddly, his power numbers against lefties in the Rogers Center hasn't really been there this year, but I don't expect much of it to change. But 4-4 is just so hard to pass up on Donaldson. It's so hard.
Just do it. Yeah, cash. Throw it in. Tournaments, throw it in. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't just put that in every lineup. Who cares? Like at that point, Donaldson's amazing splits. This is usually a slate where he's over 5K. I just don't see. Toronto's projected for between 5 and 5.5 runs, depending on where you look. It's just everything's there. Batting third, Encarnacion, Batista. Batista's back. It's just everything's there. I wouldn't worry about it if it flames out, it flames out. But I'm going with it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Smiley, 1.67 home runs per nine to righties going back to last year. When you can get Travis, Bautista, Donaldson all for under 4,500 against a home run prone lefty, I'm certainly on board with it. And even Encarnacion, I mean, it just is like he's the most expensive. But when you're paying down in combination with those other three, it's okay to kind of use them as a stack. And I'm certainly going to be doing that.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, the power hasn't been there with Donaldson of late. But I mean, he's still a good hitter, even when he's not hitting home runs. So I just think that's a good play overall.
Yep, definitely agree. And as far as the Rays go, I'm not really looking to use anyone there. They are cheap. I wish Brad Miller was a little bit less expensive. Other than that, I'm just kind of staying away from Rays.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. If he was at 4K, kind of like I'd be much more willing to just throw him into cash lineups. But 46, that's really just deep tournament area for me.
Yeah, certainly. And moving on to the next game here, you got the Yankees and Red Sox. Rick Porcello versus Luis Severino. I feel very similar about the Red Sox here. It's just a price that I don't feel like I want to go into. And I do like Mookie Betts. I love the matchup for him. I just don't like paying 5.5. That's my issue. I just feel like there's a lot of better values out there tonight. And obviously Ortiz at 5-1. Always in play. I just can't get really behind the Sox team that is struggling and kind of at their prices.
Yeah, I kind of put Jackie Bradley in that range as well, where it's overpriced, but he is a good play. It's just tough to get behind this group at those prices. Are projected for 5.5 runs. Our solid favorites are facing a weaker right-handed arm in Severino, but it's tough to really see a full game stack. I'm still definitely behind a one-off if you want to go Ortiz or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're paying down to pitching, I don't mind getting exposure to him. It's just not going to be my first choice, just given that the pricing is a little bit high.
Right.
As far as the Yankees go, I'm not really looking to use anyone here. They are at cheaper price tags. But, Porcello have been solid at home this year. I'm not expecting a ton of production out of them. If you want to look at a punt catcher like Brian McCann, I mean, obviously 3,200 something that you can take a stab at in GPPs. But overall, I'm not having a ton of exposure to New York there.
I'd like Brett Gardner if he was like 600 less. But he's really the only guy I'm taking a strong look at, and he's a little overpriced for me.
Yeah, so I think overall it's just not really that intriguing of a matchup, even against Porcello.
Right.
Giants and Marlins next here, and Marlins bats are priced up a little bit more as they should have been. We came over from FanDuel and they were a bit cheaper, but you look at more decent matchup for the Marlins there, 3.34 WOBA to righties, 1.36 horns per nine going back to last year. I'm still fine with using Stanton, Ozuna. Prado's overpriced for me. Why would you take him over Donaldson for $100 more?
Right, exactly. It's just a few things like that where they don't really add up. I I don't mind Stanton. Obviously against the lefty, you're fine with Stanton, but overall, yeah, I'm okay with you stacking Marlins in tournaments, but it's not one of my first three or four that I'm looking at.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not either. I mean, I think they are a reasonable option as far as stacking once you kind of get away from a couple other teams. Yeah, I know you and I are kind of on the similar stacks tonight, which we haven't come across really any yet outside of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Giants go, I do like their prices quite a bit, especially those lefties. I like Brandon Belt at 3.8. I like Crawford at 4K. Crawford coming off a monster night, 7 hits. And you and I were joking around. We've been kind of joking around with these big outings the last few days. Machado's 3 home run games that, Crawford, you said, why couldn't he just hit a homer? Like you had 7 hits. Why couldn't one go out of the park? And
Well, it's kind of like a facetious in the way that like Skip Bayless would go at LeBron early on in his career. It's like, yeah, you're the best player, but you didn't do this, and it's just like it's annoying, but I think it's funny now. So yeah, Brendan Crawford. Yeah, you got a triple and a double. Why not a homer? You know?
yeah, sorry he couldn't complete the cycle in 7 hits for you, Ross.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, are you in on Giants? Do you like the Giants prices?
Yeah.
And usually
Yeah.
you and I kind of differ on the Giants a little bit. They're finally at a price range where you feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Belton Crawford at their prices. I mean, pretty much this whole range. I think this is pretty exploitable. Even a Joe Panic at 33. But yeah, pretty much the whole lineup's in play for me.
Yeah.
I think they have a nice mix of lefty and righty bats, and Kohler's been pretty mediocre this year. So I'm okay with the 1 through 4 there, and even diving down to Crawford and Panic.
Yep, I certainly agree with you. Diamondbacks and Mets next one here. Steven Matz for Zach Greinke. The Diamondbacks pricing, I mean, is very cheap. Goldschmidt 4,300, and obviously they are facing a talented lefty, and still not. Matz is good enough for me to kind of stay away from in cash games, but I do like them in GPPs. I do like Castillo 3,800, Goldschmidt at 43. Usually you get him upper fours when he's facing a lefty.
Yeah, definitely. I like Castillo, and Goldschmidt at 43 is a really solid price. We haven't seen the Mats that we saw earlier this year for a while, ever since that injury. So, Goldschmidt, Segura. I mean, even if Drury's batting second tonight at 2,400, that's definitely something I'll be looking at as well.
I find it odd that the Mets are favored here.
I do too. That's a strange line.
It is, and I mean I also can see reasoning behind it because the Diamondbacks offense is hit or miss at times.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean obviously I guess that you're not really sure what you're going to get from Greinke in his first start off the DL either. But I'm going to bank on not really looking at Mets here. I just can't see using them at their prices. I like other guys around them.
Yeah, normally I just go with my Neil Walker pick usually, but he's 37. That's a little expensive for me. If he was more in that 3K range, I'd be more excited. And even the James Loney of the world, who's kind of been sneaking around, hitting homers every once in a while. Not really in on him tonight either.
No, so I think overall, I mean, really a couple Diamondbacks righties, and that's about it.
Right.
So. You get the Cubs and Angels here. Cubs projected for 5.5 runs. John Lackey facing Jared Weaver. The Cubs are damn expensive. I mean, up over 5K for pretty much all of them up front. It's an expensive stack. I mean, it's basically you have to pay down everywhere else to kind of get them in. I like them more as far as one-offs here on DraftKings, or maybe working in maybe a Bryant and a Rizzo. I'm not quite sure the full stack is worthy of diving down everywhere else.
Fowler and Zobrist are totally out for me. I as you mentioned, one-offs. I'm looking at Rizzo, and that's pretty much it. Much different than FanDuel. I'm just looking at Rizzo here. Maybe a Chris Bryant if you're feeling frisky in a tournament, but Rizzo's really the only guy I'm looking at the top. That's just too much. That's kind of like That's kind of like worse than what they were doing with the Indians there at the top for a little while there. So yeah, no, it is Jared Weaver, so there is upside, but I'm not diving in with those crazy prices.
Yeah, I think I'm just more looking at the studs there, Rizzo and Bryant. I mean, you look at Weaver, 340 Woba to lefties, 1.47 home runs per nine. Righties, 346 Woba, 1.53 home runs per nine. So he's obviously been awful against both sides of the plate. Could the Cubs definitely go off and score and put up a crooked number? I'm definitely expecting that. It would just really have to be focused in on the top four guys, which you've seen things kind of spread out of late.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as far as the Angels bats go, I am not really looking at anyone here. Maybe an Albert Pujols at 3,500 in GPPs. I'm not quite in on paying 5.2 for Trout.
Agreed. Yeah, I'd just rather go Rizzo or a few other high upside guys than Trout tonight.
Yeah. Braves and Brewers next year, and the Braves bats are actually priced up quite a bit here in comparison to where they were at on FanDuel. Deservingly so, because Willie Peralta is one of the worst pitchers in baseball. I'm still okay with using them, but obviously they are up there in price quite a bit.
Yeah, in the opposite way, I don't see myself using Braves in a singular way. If I'm gonna stack this team, it's gonna be because I'm going all in. I don't want to use Freddie Freeman as a one-off. I don't think if I'm banking on him, I want to bank on this entire group. So it is a little different perspective because I already think you're going to be contrarian, paying up for this Braves group. So why not just go all the way?
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement. And you just look at Willie Peralta's numbers against both sides of the plate: 385 Woba to lefties, going back to last year, 386 Woba to righties, so nearly identical for what he's done. And obviously these guys are in a great spot, 1 through 5, in a great ballpark. I just wish they were priced down a little bit more. I'm still okay with using them, but I'm in agreement with you that a Brave stack for me is where I'm going to be using them. I'm not going to completely go and use them as one-offs.
For sure.
As far as the Brewers go, they're priced up as well. I mean, the guys that you want, there are some value, but Hernan Perez, 4,800. What the hell did he do to get 4,800?
I have no idea. That is outrageous. I liked him on FanDuel too, but yeah, you're just not diving in with that for sure. And I mean, Braun at 54, that's just a tough price to pay up for. So, yeah, the Brewers are viable, but that's tough. That's tough to pay up for, man. I don't know how good I feel about myself after doing that. That might be one where you just click it in quick and you just submit and just never look at it again until lock.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think the Villar and Braun pricing, obviously they have that upside to pay it off. We've seen it, especially of late. It's definitely a viable option. It's not something that I'm going to jump all over. It's more maybe if I have that extra cash, I'll throw a Villar or Braun into a lineup. I'm not digging anywhere else, though.
Mm-hmm.
Twins and Astros here, and a couple of those bats I was surprised to see priced down was George Springer, 4,200, given his success against lefties, especially a home run prone one like Hector Santiago, 1.70 home runs per nine to righties. Springer, Gaddis, those are the two that I'm really looking at. I think if you wanted to pay up at second base, obviously Jose Altuve is the guy to do it with. Overall, it's for me against lefties, it's just limited to about 3 players.
Yeah, I think you just go with that base. As you mentioned, those top 3 there, but Gaddis is a decent price as well. So I'm okay with those top 4, like you mentioned, and pretty much beyond that, not much else.
Yeah, and on the Twins side, I mean, they're priced up quite a bit against Fires. I'm okay with using Miguel Sano at 4,400. I'm not quite in on the Dozier price. Kepler, how do you feel about his price tag? All right, is he okay for you? This is going to be a continuation of a setup.
Wow, 51. I can't say he's bad. I certainly can't do that, can I? That's not an option anymore, Jason.
No, you can't.
I can't say that ever again. I can't say he's not a bad play.
No.
So I'm not really in on this Twins team. You know, there's some all right options in the middle there. No, I'm just Yeah.
Is it a lukewarm situation for you? That's usually your keyword. I don't mind them. It's one of those things where I feel like outside of Sano, I feel like if I'm going all in, I might as well just kind of go and use a Dozier and Kepler as well.
Yeah.
Because you do look at Fires. I mean, does struggle with right-handed bats, 334 WOBA, but 1.35 runs per nine. And lefties, he's been, pretty good against. I mean, it still allows a decent amount of home runs, but there's just three names for Minnesota, and that's pretty much it.
Right. Totally agree.
White Sox and Royals next. You have Edison Volquez versus Chris Sale. I'm not really in on this game for offense. I think it's pretty average on both sides, even more so for White Sox. I just think at their price tags, I'm just kind of fading away. I don't mind an Adam Eaton or a Justin Morneau. Those are the kind of guys I didn't mind as far as using lefties against Volquez. And I'm not looking at Royals at all.
No. Again, that White Sox team just makes you feel a little uncomfortable, especially in a stacking type of way. So I think we just kind of avoid that. It's just a bunch of mediocrity there. In terms of the Royals, though, I'm not really looking at them either. I think we're liking Chris Sale quite a bit in this matchup.
Yep, definitely agree. Reds and Cardinals next. Brandon Finnegan versus Mike Leake. The Reds' prices, it's just Billy Hamilton 4.9. And I was talking about my recent Billy Hamilton stretch here of kind of just plugging them in day out. Won't be much tonight just because he's 4,900. I'm bummed. I was going.
You'll get that exposure on FanDuel though.
Oh, I will. I will.
Yeah. Obviously coming off a huge game a few nights ago, but 4,900 is a little extreme for me, as is Joey Votto at 5. They've priced me out of this Reds team for tonight, I think.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. I like the Reds on FanDuel, not so much here at their prices. The value's not quite the same. I do like two bats in this Cardinals lineup, though. Stephen Piscotty, Matt Holliday. That Piscotty price tag is really nice for a guy who's facing a home run prone lefty. And we know Piscotty just absolutely mashes left-handers.
Right, absolutely.
So moving on to the next one here, you have the A's and Orioles. The Baltimore bats are priced up quite a bit. I mean, Jones, Machado, both over or 5K or above. Mark Trumbo, 4,600. I don't know. I can't quite see myself paying up for the Orioles there. I actually like the A's quite a bit, though.
Yeah, I think we're moving more towards the A's side of things in terms of a value perspective. I think we're seeing the results of that 10-run game the other day for the Orioles here. Machado at 5-1 is a little too expensive for me. We do have Chris Davis sitting there at 3,900, but there's a reason why he's sitting there at 3,900. So probably an avoid there even at a reduced price. Hyun-Soo Kim is kind of the one guy I'm looking at as a semi-value there at 38. Decent splits against righties.
Yeah, I think Chris Davis, his strikeout rate matches his, price tag. 39% strikeout rate. Could be just paired up with his salary,
For sure.
In the A's, I like the front four quite a bit. Semion's price tag I really like a lot. And same thing with Smolinski. And even if Valencia, if you wanted to pay down. But obviously, the fact that Donaldson just takes a lot of guys out of play in that range kind of bums me out. But I definitely don't mind Smolinski and Semien. I think those are both great options for under 4K.
Yeah, Donaldson being at that price kind of makes you go, yeah, I like Valencia. And that's as far as it goes. Like, you're just like, yeah, he's cool, but I'm still going to click in Donaldson over him every time. So, yeah, I think you go with Semien, Smolinski. Even a Chris Davis, I'm okay with that 43 because of his upside. But overall, I think you're just looking at those top four.
Yep, I agree. The only way I might plug in Valencia is just in a true ace stack. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
But I'm liking Smolinski. I like the Semien value. I think both those guys are going to be cash game guys that I probably work in a ton.
Right.
Tigers and Mariners next. You get two lefties, Wade LeBlanc versus Daniel Norris. Some of these prices for the Tigers I like a little bit more on FanDuel. You have guys like JD Martinez and Kinsler who are a little bit more reasonable. Here, I'm not on the Tigers so much. I'm not really on the Mariners as much either, even though you do have guys like Nelson Cruz who hit lefties very well. The prices, the ballpark, it just kind of all makes them just solely GPP plays for me.
I hope their NFL pricing is anything close to how efficient their MLB pricing is, because they're making it hurt this time of year, you know? I mean, we just went through an entire slate and there aren't that many like total inefficiencies, you know?
No, I mean, outside of maybe a couple of guys, for the most part, the guys in good matchups are priced up quite a bit tonight,
Right.
um, which is good because it does make you kind of have to dive down to value
Hmm.
and go that route. You know, I do like the matchup for Cruz. I do like the matchup for Daeho Lee, who is the value there, 3,100. I don't mind taking a punch shot at him, just given that he does have some solid power. But outside of that, I mean, you can use Kinsler and Martinez as options, but the price tags aren't something I love.
Yeah, back to the Tigers for a second though. I like Cabrera tonight, but at 49, it's just like why would I do that, you know? So, tough to pay up for him. JD Martinez and Kinsler, like you mentioned, are okay, but again, the price is right there, right at the edge of where I don't feel comfortable paying up for them. So, kind of a tough matchup. Like Nelson Cruz, you like Daeho Lee. I think that's a pretty good call as well. But overall, I'm not too high on these secondary pieces for the Mariners either.
Now, if you wanted to punt catcher, Mike Zunino is probably the only other guy I'd take a shot at just because he is a catcher. You can go ahead and punt that route if you wanted to.
Mm.
So, Phillies and Dodgers, Kenta Maeda versus Vince Velasquez, and I'm not using any Phillies tonight. I like Maeda and his price tag quite a bit. I'll take some shots at the Dodgers. They're not my favorite offense, but given some of those price tags, I'll take a look at them.
I like Reddick at 38. I mean I'm okay with this 2 through 4 stack here. Maybe I'm a little higher on them than you are. I think Vince Velasquez is just not pitching the way we saw him pitch earlier in the year. So I think that 2 through 4 is definitely in play, even with some sort of negative park factors there. And I guess my guy of the night, I'm gonna make it Odubel Herrera, 41, whatever, YOLO. Let's do it. I'm in against Maeda. Let's do it.
Well, doable night.
Odubel night.
I like Corey Seager's price. I mean, 4.6 is actually pretty reasonable for a guy who's
Hmm.
red hot. And I don't mind the matchup for him. Velasquez has been average against lefties, 316, well, about 1.14 home runs per nine. Nothing incredible, but nothing bad either.
Right.
So I don't mind those bats. And as you mentioned, a Reddick at 3,800 is certainly intriguing.
Hmm.
So let's wrap things up with the DK Daily Trot. Be sure to check out DailyFantasyCafe.com for all great tools and content.